Volunteering now, and Newry, of course, is a great centre for volunteering. We're famed for it. There is, I'm told and I know, a generosity of spirit in Newry. It's always been the case. We're now outreaching to open further doors to allow people to become involved in the whole area of being kind to others through the volunteering concept. And with me now to discuss what that's all about and what's available for people in the Newry area is Raquel Rodrigues, who runs the operation of Volunteer Now in Newry, over at Ballabot House in the middle of, over in Cornmarket, you would know. Those of you in Australia looking back and thinking back would remember Cornmarket. Raquel, you're most welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much, Rowan. I'm lovely.
You've brought wonderful weather with you. Thank you very much indeed.
Brought the sunshine.
Yeah. What is Volunteer Now?
Volunteer Now, Rowan, is a regional to local organisation that is spread out across Northern Ireland, and our aim is to promote, support and develop volunteering, and we do so by working very closely with charities or any volunteer involving organisation and making sure they have their policies and procedures right and that they offer good, exciting opportunities to their volunteers.
I have to immediately say to you, and forgive me for this, but you have the intonation, the sound and the beauteous appearance of someone from another part of the world.
Yes.
Portugal.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I'm from Portugal.
How did you end up here in Newry?
Well, the same old story.
You followed a man.
Yeah, I followed a man.
Her heart was captured by a Newry man, and
Yes.
he must have been a very wonderful man to get you away
He
from the
is
sun
indeed.
and the climate
Yeah.
of that part of the world.
But funny enough, we met actually while we were doing a volunteer program abroad. So it all ties in.
Yeah. Here's your reason for volunteering. You want a man or a woman, you come and you get involved here, and you get yourself a partner. So, what kind of people are volunteering in Newry?
All sorts of people from all backgrounds, all age groups, people with disabilities. Family volunteering is a big thing now, you know, doing sort of those kind of one-off volunteering like clean-ups, tidy-ups, the runs.
So where would that happen? What do you mean family volunteering? Is that an entire family volunteering or someone
Could be, yeah.
volunteering to help a family?
No, it's a family volunteering. So for example,
Mummy, daddy and the children.
Daddy and the children could be doing a big tidy up for Inland Waterways Association, for example. They've done one there recently.
Yeah.
So there's those kind of activities, or assisting at events, and obviously the kids would have to stay with one adult, but they're definitely able to help out and to meet and greet.
Raquel, on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of excellence, being 10, where would you say the Newry commitment stands?
In terms of being engaged in the community,
and a willingness to be involved.
Yeah, I would say definitely 9.5.
Would you?
From the people that I know, definitely. But obviously not everybody's involved, and there's still very much people that are out there that are isolated or at home that are not getting out and about because maybe they can't, and they're not getting the experiences that others may get.
I know so many people involved in charity shops, the hospice shop, the Bernardo's and all the rest of it. And they're constantly there. They're constantly giving. They're remarkable people.
They're fantastic, and any charity wouldn't run or operate without volunteers at all. It just would crumble, fall apart, because they have core staff to keep the admin, to keep the finance going. But then everything else, volunteers really complement their work and stretch out their service provision.
There's hardly a week that passes that we don't see in the local press, the Newry Reporter and the Newry Democrat, that we don't see photographs of people making presentations of checks. People run marathons. They trek in Nepal. They climb the triathlons. They climb the Himalayas. They do all of these kind of things.
That's it. I suppose even those that are not physically volunteering directly with an organisation, they're very much fundraising. So I don't know anyone that hasn't at one point in their life fundraised for a charity as well.
Can I ask you, well, I'm going to ask you, if when people come over to Ballabot House in Cornmarket and they want to get involved in volunteering, they might be put off by the notion that they're coming into a big building, a big office, lots of formality, and they might be frightened of it.
Yeah, true. Yes, Rowan, you're right. We try to be as relaxed and casual and welcoming as possible. The building itself, it's very welcoming in that sense. But another way of compensating that is that we have a lot of turn up and try opportunities.
Wow.
So these are things that you can just come up on the day and volunteer for the hospice for an hour.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So for example, the National Trust has a lot of properties and they would run events throughout the year. turn-up and tries are an opportunity for you to assist at an event or to be an event photographer, depending what they're looking for, just on the day. So you don't need to pre-register, you don't need to be a registered volunteer with them. You can just come up that day, enjoy the event, help out, be involved, and if you like what kind of work they do, then stay on. Maybe do sign up to be a more regular volunteer.
You see, there's the adage that we often hear, it's in giving that we receive.
Yeah.
I'm convinced, you know, especially as people are growing older, it's a wonderful life-saving grace to get out there and be involved in volunteering.
Definitely. If you can, if you're physically able, even if you're not, then we have something else that we can offer you, but if you're physically able, definitely get out and about, keep active. I was at an older people's event in Armagh yesterday, and it was called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing.
Wow.
And the 5 ways...
What are they? Tell me.
They're very interesting, yes. The
At
5
my
ways.
age, I definitely want to know this thing.
And it's because people, you know, Northern Ireland population is aging, and by, I think it's by 2020 or something like that, we're going to have, 2030 rather, we're going to have 75% more of older people. So it's a huge chunk of number, and you want people to live, you know, longer but healthy as well, and happy.
120.
You know, and happy. Yes,
That's
I would love that. As long as you're healthy and happy.
But it is, we're talking about older people now, but it is also a cross-generational thing. Young
Yes,
people
yes.
as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of actual intergenerational projects where young people share their, you know, skills and experience with older people, and they share their life stories and their experience, and everybody learns from each other. We ran a project last year with St. Paul's High School in Bestbrook and the nursing home or the daycare home that might be at risk of closing now, Clough-Ray Home Care, and the project was fantastic, and the kids loved it so much so that now the school is running an ongoing thing with the home. So it generated, you know, it brought fruits out of that.
Yeah. People, as I say, might be frightened of it, but really there's nothing to be frightened of. Just see it as an opportunity to improve one's own well-being.
Definitely. And for me, on a personal level, because that's how I got it to volunteer now, was by starting volunteering. For me, it was a way of trying different areas that I was interested in, but I wasn't sure, is that the area I want to work in, or do I really like that, or am I really able to work, you know, with people with a learning disability or this or that. So for me was a taster, and that's why we like to do those turn-up and tries, and we have taster sessions that people can just turn up on the day.
Have the go.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say to folk, because I often say on our programme, it's as easy to get us in Mongolia or Manhattan as it is to get us in Mayo Bridge or Mayo. And where you are in the world, wherever you are, the same need for volunteering exists. So there's much to be said for finding out and going and doing it. If you're building yourself into a new society in Melbourne or in Sydney or in Manhattan, find out about volunteering. It's a great way to integrate with the community.
It's a great way to connect and to meet new people and to make contacts, and that's what I found whenever I first moved. It was very hard to get out and about unless you put yourself out there. So volunteering was a way of doing so, of doing something that I enjoy, that was fun.
Yeah, of course.
At the same time helping others and meeting new people. What more could you get?
Now, you have an association with, contact with another wonderful organisation, Action Mental Health. Now, and there's lots of cardigans being knitted and lots of scarves and blankets. What's all that about?
So we actually started we had an action day, one of our taster days last year in September, that was focused for people over 50, to give people over 50 an idea of what opportunities they can get involved in Uri. Out of that, we run activities so people can actually volunteer on the day. One of them was a knitting session, a knitting workshop for charity that we were working with called Waste Chernobyl, that works in Belarus. With mental health institutions and orphanages, funny enough. And then out of that, people started knitting, and mainly women, unfortunately. Men don't seem to get involved in the knitting side of things. And one of the women told us about this other charity that she knew called Rachel's Place that works in Lesotho, which is a country in Africa.
Goodness gracious.
Which is highly affected by HIV and has a big rate of orphans, unfortunately.
You're talking about knitting. It's an extraordinary thing, folks. Where I work in northwest Nigeria, across the River Niger, up in the land of the Kamberi people, I was there in the middle of nowhere, a moonscape of a place, Stone Age, really Stone Age. And I looked under a tree one Sunday afternoon. There was a group of women sitting around. And this is really, really a place of great impoverishment. What were they doing? They were knitting.
Really?
Can you believe it? In the middle of Africa, there they were knitting away.
I know.
As contentedly as women would sitting, Uri, knitting your blankets and stuff.
And you wouldn't think, often what people say is, why would they need, you know, warm scarves and warm jumpers in
Cold
Africa?
at night.
Gets
Wow,
very cold at
I
night.
tell you,
yeah.
I promise you.
Big
And then you look to the
difference
horizon
temperatures.
and you see the lightning and you see the electric storm
Wow.
coming. And you go, wow, I don't want this. I don't know what this is. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Raquel Rodrigues. And thank you so much for coming
problem,
in.
Rowan, thank
I think
you.
we're going to play you some music.
Oh,
Sean,
lovely.
let the music begin.